When I was accepted into a college that was far away from my hometown, I didn't really know anyone else who lived there. The college I went to didn't have any dorms, but they did have apartments that they suggested students live in due to the proximity to the college. And I'm sure they got a kickback for people who signed up and said they heard about the apartment complex through the college. I was pretty broke at that point, plus, I wanted to meet someone new right away, so I chose my apartment largely due to a roommate service they had. Basically, you fill out a questionnaire about your demographics, hobbies, and interests, and the service would match you with roommates that were compatible with you. Mind you, I chose this particular apartment despite the 1-star review I saw across boards online. I mean, they were under new management, and it was only a year lease. It couldn't be that bad. I was matched with another guy in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. I was so excited to move in and meet him. I moved in a few days after the lease started, probably about 3 weeks before school started, and already began regretting my decision. The apartment was shit and smelled like mold and cigarettes. In fact, there was a used ashtray on the coffee table when I first got there. When they said it was furnished, I didn't expect it to be exactly like home. My new roommate didn't show up for about a week. When he did finally show up, I found out that he was about 35 and didn't even go to my school. He was pretty scruffy and smelled like old cigarettes and BO. Eventually I found out that he used to be homeless and took out student loans to afford the application fee and first few months of rent, but he never enrolled in classes. After the first few months, he stopped paying rent, and it took about 6 months for the property to finally evict him. In the state I lived, you had to evict judicially, and the courts were bogged down, so it took a while. When he lived in my apartment, he never changed his clothes. He always wore the same beat-up-looking camo pants and stained dirty wife beater. I even offered him some clothes I was getting rid of that would have fit him fine. He was content, though, so whatever. He would also have a lot of his old roommates from when he lived at homeless shelters over. It wouldn't be uncommon for me to come home and find a random person doing laundry, even when my roommate wasn't home. When I would have a guy over to hang out in my room, I'm gay, he would watch us from the front door to my room through a crack in his door, just wide enough for me to see the creepiest look on his face. Literally every time. Needless to say, he gave me the creeps. A few months after school started, and after I noticed his creepy behavior more and more, I was in my room asleep with a guy I had been talking to at the time. Actually, still my boyfriend now. When I hear a knock on my bedroom door. I look to the clock, and it's about 3 in the morning. I get up and see what whoever it was wanted, and open my door to a random dirty and old naked guy. He says he's friends with my roommates and thought my roommate was in my room with me. I flipped the fuck out. Obviously my roommate isn't in my room with me. In order to get into my apartment, my roommate would have had to let him in. And the apartment isn't very big, so it's not like my roommate could have gone somewhere else that his friend wouldn't know where he was. He was either in the living room or in his room. I throw this dude out, him being butt-ass naked, and let myself into my roommate's room. This is the first time I've been in there, mainly because I have no reason to associate with him, and he's sitting in the corner doing absolutely nothing with his lights off. Almost as if he was waiting for me to come in there. I asked him about everything that just happened, and he's trying to play dumb like he didn't even know the guy. Someone had to let him in, and it wasn't me. I drop it begrudgingly because the eviction notices are piling up on his door. I figured it's just a matter of time until he's gone. In the meantime, I see the naked dude randomly in the apartment doing laundry a handful of times when I would get home from class. Finally, my roommate is evicted, and I think I'm done with that, and will get another roommate that is actually my age or cool. A few weeks go by that are more or less quiet. Then one day I hear a knock at the front door during the day. When I answer it, I see the random naked dude standing there, thankfully clothed this time, with a trash bag full of what looked like disgusting laundry. He tells me that my roommate said it was cool if he came to use the washer, and starts to walk forward like he owns the place. I step in front of him and tell him that his friend does not live there anymore, and that no, he can't use my washing machine. I closed the door and locked it and go back to my room. About 20 minutes later, I hear a random scratching noise from my balcony. I lived on the 3rd floor, so I figured it was just a squirrel or a bird out there just scratching around. I keep hearing the noise, so I decided to investigate, and I see the homeless guy trying his best to climb onto my balcony. I told him I was calling the cops, but obviously, by the time they get there, he's gone. That same day, I went out to the property manager and asked what kind of roommate matching service works like that, and demanded to get out of my lease. After some heated discussion, I persuaded her that it was in her best interest to just let me leave. I found a nice 1-bedroom and never looked back.